guys, today is Sunday. It is Cinco de Mayo and we are starting a new studio vlog. So this week is going to be all about sketchbooks. I have a artist market coming up this weekend and I've made the decision not to invest any more like time or money into getting ready for that. So I'm basically going to use whatever was left over from my last show, which is a lot of originals. So we'll see how it goes. You know, these spring markets have just been an experiment to see if it's worthwhile going forward to plan things in the spring in terms of in-person sales. So this week I'm just going to relax and do some sketchbook work. We're going to start by finishing off a pen and brush marker page that I did, and last night I ended up stopping this spread because I started making stuff that I really didn't like. I could tell, like, okay, I'm getting tired and I'm just, you know, not doing a good job. So we're gonna cover up some ugly stuff and then finish the spread. So I'll also be filming another video today, and I have to sort of do it when people are not using power tools outside because it is Michigan and it's going to be 68 degrees today, which means that people will be outside working in their yards instead of enjoying the day, you know? So we're going to try and film this haul video before it gets crazy and before I have to leave because I'm going to visit my parents and enjoy this beautiful weather on their deck today. So let's get to that sketchbook. So I need to finish the spread, which is a combination of this Karin Brushmarker Pro. This was from the May Sketchbox, and then I'm using just Sigma pens to accent that. And so on the left side I did some like faces. I was trying to do some like loose like contour type of drawings, but these two I ended up like really hating. So I painted over them with some acrylic paint, which doesn't cover it entirely. I'd have to do a couple more layers, but I want to see if this pen will go over top and how that works. So we'll go over the top. It's just taking a lot to actually dry. This is just an example of what you can do if, you know, you put something down in your sketchbook and you're really unhappy with it. This happens to me a lot now that I've been trying to practice faces more and trying to come up with like a looser style in terms of making those faces in more of an illustrative way or in like a completely abstract way. So I made 5. And then, oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4, if I could count right. So I made 4 and I ended up not liking 2. So I covered those up with acrylic. I originally tried to do just a Post-it note, but like when I did that drawing initially, it wasn't working. So there's a Post-it there initially, but then I decided to use the acrylic to cover up instead. And then I decided once I covered it up that I wanted to match these 2 pages together by including these leaves on the left side as well. And then I just sort of fixed the face of this girl that I had drawn before. So I left her hair in place from the original sketch and then just redid her face. And so I'm not exactly happy with that. I think eyes are, you know, very difficult, and I think it's hard to like, how do you make those come across in a minimal way in terms of illustration? Because I want to go in there and try to do something more technical, but that's not the style that I want to end up developing. So overall, mildly successful. I like that I was able to use this new pen. I really like this color. So I think that I'm going to continue trying to use some more brush pens in my drawings along with the Sigmas. I think that's a fun look to sort of combine some loose strokes and then further define that with the black pen. So each leaf is kind of somewhat different in the style it was done. I kind of like this one that is filled in half with the lines like this one, and then half is filled in solid. I think that looks nice. So alright, so there's one spread in my sketchbook. So I did this over the course of 2 days, but not like that same amount of time. The longest part was putting in this little drawing over here. So like a combo of something that's very like purposely sketched out. This is just from like a picture on Pinterest, and then combined with some other like loose drawings. It's Monday now, and I wanted to start today off by showing you the sketchbooks that are currently in rotation for me. So, as you know, I was doing 2 sketchbook projects sort of at the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, and those are both done. So everything that I'm working on right now in terms of a sketchbook is my own project, my own personal sketchbooks. So the first one you've seen a lot, even just as an accent in some of my pictures on Instagram. This is my Printfresh Sketchbook, and this is quite large. It has medium weight paper in it, and I've been using it in the beginning for a lot of sketch journaling, but I've been doing some more like regular sketchbook pages in it as well. So that's one that you'll see featured most often right now because I would like to finish this one sooner rather than later. I just find this large size a little bit too big. It's a little bit too awkward for me to keep working with. I will say that it's a very nice sketchbook, although this exterior is leather, so keep that in mind. It is very beautiful to look at, and I think it'll be nice, you know, on the shelf when I'm done with the sketchbook because I like to keep mine for reference in the future. And you know that I've been doing some like scans to make prints for my sketchbooks, so that's really important to me to hang on to them for the future. I will say that it is quite heavy, and that's something that I really dislike about it. So when I'm carrying around my backpack, this feels like it weighs a ton. My next one is my little black sketchbook, and this brand is Pentallic. I just ordered this off Amazon. I've been covering it up with stickers. On the front I have my little Ruth Hammond, and I have a Serica Studio up here, and I have some of my own on the back. I barely use this. I've been using it mainly to practice some like patterns with the gel pen, which has been pretty fun. So I think I'll show you guys a pattern page, and we'll see how long, because it actually takes longer than you would think to do this. It's very like time consuming to do these little like pattern pages. So I have 2 randoms, and this is another one of my Moleskine journals. These are like all I used in college, just a ton of Moleskine. So this one is mostly full. I've got like, so what is that, like a quarter? I've got a quarter of this one left, and so I want to fill this. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing special, these Moleskine journals. I think they're pretty good depending on what sort of medium you're using. I've used it for all sorts of things, from pencil and colored pencil into the gouache, like for my gouache sketchbook. That is the most recent one that I completed. That was my own personal sketchbook. So I do like these. I just feel like I need something that's slightly bigger. So I feel like my ideal sketchbook is somewhere in between this size and the size of the Printfresh sketchbook. And then another wild card from college is this landscape orientation sketchbook. So it opens sideways, and this one, again, I don't know the exact timeline, sometime in college, because I can tell from some of the drawings that that's when I was doing it. But what you can see, I don't know like how clearly you guys can see it, there's all this discoloration, and this is probably something that I bought at like a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby back then. So this one's actually gonna go into the trash just because I can't get over the discoloration of this paper. I think that that's just, it's a tragedy. And the newest one, I just received in an order from Jerry's Artorama, and this is a Strathmore sketchbook. This is the 500 series mixed media, and it's a soft cover. So it's quite small, it's 64 pages, and the cover is somewhat thin, but it's flexible, and it has a nice like soft touch texture, so it's nice to the touch. And I picked this up after seeing some of Lee Ellickson's videos where she uses a sketchbook. It might be this one or one that's very similar to this from Strathmore. And she does a lot of watercolor and gouache in her sketchbooks, and this seems to hold up pretty well. And I like that it's not too long, it's not too heavy for being this size. And this, is, again, is a size that's somewhere in, I think, what's going to be the sweet spot for me going forward. I'm on the hunt for that perfect sketchbook, and I really wanted something slightly bigger than those regular Moleskine journals. So this is going to be the next one that I get into, and I'll let you guys know how this works out. So that's my current collection of sketchbooks, and I think that I will show you guys a sketch progress later this evening. We're going to be running some errands, so I'm heading out, but I will show you some different sketchbook techniques tonight. Working in these sketchbooks every day this week has made me realize how much my sketchbook practice has changed over the years. Like going way back in high school and junior high, I never kept a sketchbook. When I was a kid and around that age, growing up, I kept a lot of journals and diaries, so I did a lot of writing. And then once I got into art school, it wasn't normal for us to really keep a dedicated sketchbook unless that was your personal preference. And I found that because you're working every single day, multiple classes, and then a lot of like homework assignments in art school, that there wasn't really time for a sketchbook. You're just constantly working, constantly being introduced to new ideas already, and just surrounded by creative people. So there isn't that need to really explore ideas because they're just coming at you so fast that you can't even keep track of what's going on sometimes. So I found in college that I often wrote more often than drew in my sketchbooks. And that was especially true the last year. In the senior year, you do a thesis and you put together like a show of your own work and stuff. So a lot of that had to do with developing the concepts behind the pieces. You had to make an artist statement and give a presentation on your work at the end of the year. So a lot of that was just writing down the ideas versus planning out the pieces. Back then, I didn't really plan my pieces out in a sketchbook or make a lot of thumbnails. I went in with a general idea and just sort of went with the flow with a lot of my pieces. And I think that that reflects a lot in my conceptual work, where it's a lot of just fitting pieces together and working on them over long periods of time. So doing these sketchbooks is a little bit more unusual, where it's, done very quickly, and sometimes I do a couple pages in one day, and I get to explore a lot of different ideas and different materials. And I think that's been really helpful for me now because I'm not taking any classes, I'm out of school, I don't work fully professionally as an artist. I do other things on the side. I also do a lot of freelance type of work, and I don't really have a community anymore of artists that I'm around every single day or most days out of the week. So I think keeping a sketchbook has become more important for me over the years, and I've definitely become a believer in a regular practice. I definitely don't believe in a fully daily practice, at least for, considering a long period of time. I just don't think that that's something that most people can stick to, and it's definitely not something I can stick to. But days definitely come when I feel more inspired and I'll do more pages in a single day. So I think it evens out to being something like a daily practice. As you can see with this one, I like to keep my pages in a specific theme, and I think that helps both in terms of the final effect. So it does in some way become like a final piece, but it's not fully developed. So I don't know what your guys' preference is when it comes to sketchbook practice. Do you work every single day, or is it just something that you do when you need to plan out a final work? Do you prefer pages that are more finalized or more like final pieces of art themselves, or do you prefer something that is more loose and definitely, a practice type of sketchbook versus an art piece in itself? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hi guys, today is Wednesday. So yesterday you saw me working on this spread, which is an all ink drawing. And these are inspired by photos from a restaurant chain called Honu, which is in Jakarta area. And so at this point I have it all fully inked, and I'm kind of waffling back and forth on whether I want to actually color it in now. I had intended to at first, but now I've implemented a lot of little elements that are all in ink, so it's a little bit busy looking, and I feel like too many colors is going to make it look messy. So I'm thinking about maybe coloring in a few of the elements and leaving some just in black and white. So I may revisit this a little bit later this week. But for now, I want to go back into painting in the sketchbook, and so I'm gonna go revisit something that I tried out last weekend, and it's this spread where there's this little cityscape. This is from the Amalfi Coast in Italy. And so I want to try doing a different view of this type of scene with the city on the hill, and then include some different elements around that scene as well. So for this next spread, I'm still going to use the acrylic wash just because it's very quick drying and easy to use. I also have it in a decent chunk of color so that I don't have to spend too much mixing. I can sort of get right in there and do some sketches. So let's get started. Okay guys, this video got really long, so I'm just going to end with a couple pictures of the spreads that were featured in this vlog. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.